The low hum of the blender blades filled the kitchen, a sweet vanilla fog curling through the air. I stood there in my sock feet, my heartbeat syncing with the motor's rhythm. Why didn't I taste the bitterness beneath the maple? Why did the new gold band on his left hand shine brighter than yesterday? I slid his glass toward me. The surface trembled like a lie, and whispered to the linoleum, "How did I marry a stranger?" Every morning, Ethan Harris made me energy shakes. "Sweetheart, it's for your own good," he'd say, flashing that bright-eyed smile. I always thought of myself as a Margaret Carter, the kind who double-checks the iron before leaving the house, the kind who reads the fine print on insurance forms. I didn't believe in love at first sight or any of that fairy tale nonsense. So when Ethan handed me that glass each morning, I didn't question it. I saw it as a reward, a small trophy for being a decent wife. "You're working too hard," he'd say, that soft look in his eyes tightening my throat. I'd roll my eyes, pretending to be unimpressed, but secretly I was touched. I felt proud. I had a Ethan Harris who noticed when I looked tired. He didn't just ask, "You okay?" while scrolling on his phone. He actually did something about it. Sometimes I'd ask why he didn't drink the magical smoothie himself. He'd wave it off. "I'm good, I made it for you. You need the boost." I'd smile and raise the glass like a toast to his thoughtfulness. But that morning, the one that changed everything, I swapped our glasses while he wasn't looking. It wasn't out of suspicion, not even a little. He'd been looking pale and run down lately. I figured maybe he could use a boost for once. I waited until he turned toward the coffee machine, then quickly switched the glasses and sat down like nothing happened. He came back, gave me a tired smile, and took a big sip. Within seconds, his face went ghost white. He wobbled. The glass slipped from his hand and shattered. He grabbed the edge of the table, eyes locked on mine, wide and panicked. I jumped up. "Oh my God, are you okay?" In that moment, everything shifted. The man I thought I knew was unraveling before my eyes. What had I really been drinking all this time? I yelled, rushing over. Ethan tried to say something, but all that came out was a garbled sound. Then he just collapsed. I dropped to my knees beside him. His pulse was there, but his skin had turned ashy gray. His eyes were shut tight, and my heart felt like it was trying to punch its way out of my chest. All I could think was allergy, food poisoning, stroke. The word stroke screamed in my ears. Not once did it hit me that he had just drunk the smoothie he made for me. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands and called 911, begging them to come fast. My brain was a static mess repeating, "Please let him be okay. Please just get here." He kept fading in and out, mumbling nonsense, trying to sit up, then going limp again. I shoved a pillow under his head and sat there, listening to every breath, every tiny sound. When the paramedics finally took him away, I was left in the kitchen, staring at the spilled shake in my overturned chair. It felt like I had blacked out and walked into someone else's life. I picked up the glass from the floor. There was just a little bit of shake left inside. It smelled weird, faint, but off. Not bad, just wrong. Maybe it went bad, I thought. But that was my glass, the one he made for me. That's when the thought landed, quiet and awful. I immediately swatted it away like it was ridiculous. Coincidence, I told myself. Please, just let it be a coincidence. Let it be anything but a stroke. I wandered around the house, trying not to spiral. At some point, I opened our old tablet. I wasn't even sure why. Maybe to distract myself. Find a movie, a show, a dumb recipe video, something. But instead, I stumbled into a bunch of old emails. Nothing direct, just little scraps, mentions of supplements, a warning to be careful not to raise suspicion. It read like someone being overly cautious about their wellness routine. Except my gut didn't read it that way. I closed the tablet like it had burned me. What was Ethan hiding? Why did he need to be so secretive? The air felt thick, almost suffocating. I could hear the faint rustle of leaves outside, a reminder of the world moving on while I was stuck in this nightmare. I needed answers. I needed to know the truth. As I paced the kitchen, the scent of that strange shake lingered, a bitter reminder of trust shattered. I had to confront the reality of my life. I had to reclaim control. But how? What if the man I loved was not who I thought he was? The questions swirled in my mind, each one more terrifying than the last. I took a deep breath, steeling myself. I would uncover the truth, no matter how painful it might be. I owed it to myself. I owed it to the woman I used to be, the one who believed in love, in trust. But now, I was ready to fight for my own reality. No, you're just being paranoid, I kept telling myself. It's probably just vitamins or some boring probiotic. But a crack had opened inside me as I stared at that screen. Just a tiny crack, but it felt like a dam ready to burst. My name is Margaret Carter. I'm 38, a lead architect at Wells & Partners in Chicago. I design beautiful homes, shaping other people's lives, but I completely missed the fact that my own was unraveling. Ethan Harris, my Ethan Harris, was supposed to be my rock. The same guy who worked alongside me, always supportive, always joking about my late-night projects, always bringing me coffee when I was buried in blueprints. When my design was picked for a major housing project, he was the first to embrace me. "You earned this, Margaret," he said with that charming grin. I really believed we were a team, that he was genuinely thrilled for me, just like I was for him. That night, when I went to see him at the hospital, he looked so pale, so anxious, but he masked it well, forcing a smile that barely reached his eyes. "Must have been something I ate," he said dismissively. "Weird reaction." I nodded, played the dutiful wife, but inside, my heart raced. There was something off. His twitching hands, the way he avoided meeting my gaze. I felt it deep down, scratching at my instincts like a caged animal. Back home, I went straight to the kitchen, my pulse quickening. I opened the top cabinet, the one he always said not to mess with. "My supplements," he would snap. But there they were, unlabeled jars, packets with foreign writing, strange powders, and clear containers that looked sinister under the kitchen lights. One bag caught my eye. Energy-boosting blend. What was he hiding? The air felt electric. I could almost hear the rustle of leaves outside, reminding me how life was moving on while I was stuck in this nightmare. I grabbed the packets, my heart pounding. Each handwritten note I found inside stirred suspicion. What was Ethan hiding? I had to know the truth. The questions spiraled, a whirlpool of fear and anger. What if the man I trusted was a stranger? I felt my resolve harden. No more blind trust. I was going to uncover the reality behind the facade, even if it shattered everything. This was my life, my truth. I owed it to myself to fight for clarity, to reclaim control. Ethan may have his secrets, but I wouldn't back down. I'd illuminate the darkness and find out who he truly was. I flipped the discharge packet open. Rain taps the window in Morse code. Ethan's med list stares back. My own supplements, line for line. Same brand, same dosage. Then a crumpled yellow post-it sticks to the page. Tell Mrs. North to stop sharing shakes. Cross-contamination risk. The room tilts. The fridge hum swells like a scream. Those shakes weren't poisoned. They were switched. I'd been drugging myself, spoonful by spoonful, hiding it inside the vanilla powder Ethan pretended to love. Every morning I thought I was nurturing him. Instead, he watched me drink my own slow confusion. My reflection in the chrome toaster looks warped, smaller, like someone drowning in plain sight. I grip the counter. Rain scent drifts through a cracked pane. The leaf rustle outside feels mocking. How long has he known? Did he count the days until my memory blurred? I replay yesterday. Ethan handed me the metal cup with that crooked half-smile, eyes skimming the clock instead of my face. Same way he's looked at me since the hospital came home. Guilty, careful, rehearsed. My pulse pounds in my throat, louder than the kettle. I open the trash bin under the sink. At the bottom, a flattened supplement bag peeks from coffee grounds. My name, sharpied in my own handwriting, crossed out and replaced with his. The ink still smudges under wet grounds, proof he rewrote labels before I woke. Every gesture we shared, the soft wake-up nudge, the clatter of ice cubes, now screams stage set. The kettle clicks off. Silence stretches. I feel the betrayal press into my bones, sharper than winter air. A final note flutters from the packet. Mrs. North, the shakes were never meant for your Ethan Harris. Ink bleeds where a tear once landed. Mine or a nurse's I can't tell. One sentence loops in my brain. She could keep drugging herself under cover of his illness. I staggered to the porch, rain misting my cheeks, and realized the stranger wasn't Ethan at all. It was the woman in the mirror I never truly saw. The metallic edge slipped past my tongue like a penny coated in lies. One gulp. Banana foam. But something colder, razor cold, cut my throat. The room spun. Shadows lengthened, warping the stainless blender into a funhouse mirror. Its whine rose higher, then burst into a baby cry. My baby cry. I froze. The chrome cup became a window. Inside it wasn't me, Margaret Carter. It was second Margaret. Same tired eyes, same hesitant smile. Tilting back the shake I swore was for Ethan. Same glass I prepared with love, same hand I kissed before work. She drank. My mouth still tasted the residue of betrayal on both sides of this split second. One sip, two realities braided together like fraying rope. Who was really drowning? The woman on the porch clutching a damp note, or the version still smiling in the kitchen, pouring another dose because love told her to? Rain scent drifted through the cracked door. Leaf Russell outside laughed. You believed your own script. I blinked, pulse drumming louder now, louder than rain hitting metal steps. No curtain call for any role tonight. Just silence ringing, and the sudden, terrible truth that every spoon of trust I fed him, I first measured for myself. Would everything be different if I had gotten pregnant? The thought haunted me, a kind of grief I never recognized until now. Days slipped by. Ethan returned to his role as the devoted Ethan Harris, brewing coffee, serving meals on a tray, wearing that rehearsed smile. But something felt off. I couldn't ignore it any longer. Then one morning, he placed a glass in front of me. A pale, green concoction. It's your shake, just like always, he said, that familiar softness in his eyes. I hesitated, my heart racing. Ethan, you nearly died from that stuff, I replied, gripping the table. I can't, not even if it's a coincidence. His frown deepened. I just don't want you to feel run down again. Defeated, I muttered, Okay, I'll have it later. I couldn't face him, but that didn't stop him from leaving shake after shake around the house, always with that expectant look. I never said no, I just nodded, promising, I'll drink it later. But I didn't touch a single one. I poured them down the sink, sometimes saved a sample, just to be safe. Each rinse of the glass felt like a secret I held close. Ethan hadn't picked up on my silence yet, but I needed the truth. I needed to know if I was being paranoid or if there was something sinister lurking beneath the surface. One night, after he fell asleep on the couch, I calmly snatched his phone. No fuss, no drama. Old habits resurfaced as I slipped into the bathroom, fingers trembling over the familiar passcode. His birthday. I felt like I was entering forbidden territory, buried treasures hidden beneath takeout receipts and tomorrow's lunch reminders. With every press of the button, I felt a weight in my chest. What would I discover? What truths lay hidden behind the simple screen? I braced myself, a storm brewing in my mind as I ventured into the digital ether where answers, or maybe more betrayal, awaited. My thumb hovers over the send button, then hovers again. Rain hisses against the pane. The scent, wet asphalt, quick regret, sticks to my tongue. Drip, brr, drip. I replay the whispered voice memo one last time. Mail. tight. Keep the dose steady. We can't miss a day. Not Tom. Ethan. Of course, Ethan. I lock the phone, smooth the blanket on the couch. Tomorrow I'll pretend again. Smile. Sip. Swallow nothing. But tonight I open the fridge light like a confession. One unmarked bottle glints the color of pond scum. I twist the cap. It resists, then pops. A soft gunshot in a silent kitchen. Inside, clear liquid, thin, innocuous. But the air changes. Vanilla stevia, the same sweet sharpness he stirs into coffee, curls into my nose. I taste ghosts, hazelnut foam, angry rain, cinnamon betrayal clinging to his breath. I pour the tiniest drop onto a spoon. It reflects fluorescent light like a tiny mirror. Mirror, mirror, show me the lie I've been sleeping next to. Upstream in the shadows, the first shaker floats back. Taco Tuesday. Rain pelted the patio like thrown rice. His hand reached across the table. Fork clinks glass. Drink up, beautiful, good gut, good life. My ring had sat cold, sticky with condensation. Something skated across my spine. Not from rain, from erosion. Trust eroding grain by grain. Back now, the fridge clicks shut. Darkness swallows the room. I clutch the bottle to my chest like contraband. Evidence beats beneath my sweater. Next morning, it's oatmeal weather. Ethan hums, flips pancakes, inwardly pleased. I smile, bite, swallow, rinse, repeat. But every beat counts. While he squeezes orange juice, I snap a pick of the bottle. While he whistles, I tuck a duplicate in my coat pocket. Then, small victory, I pour the remaining shake down the drain. It swirls like green smoke, guiltless, clean. Midday steals in. He's at the gym. I'm alone with the hush. I sit on the office carpet, bottles in a neat fan. 1, 2, 15. Enough for a month. Label maker, let's dance. I print tiny strips, placebo, vitamin C, probiotic. Stick them crooked. Now the evidence looks wholesome again. He'll never notice the swap until it's too late. I hear the garage door groan open. Heartbeat drumroll. I'm back in the kitchen, flour on my cheek, mixing banana bread batter. He kisses my hair. You okay? I nod. Tired is all. Truth. Adrenaline fizzes behind my ribs like seltzer. That night I step outside for air. The street lamp pools gold over damp leaves. Wind rustles secrets through magnolia branches overhead. I open my porch app. Motion sensor, pre-order, overnight shipping, 15 tiny cameras, brown box, waiting on tomorrow's porch bash. He'll think they're for the garden. They are. I'm planting eyes. I whisper the plan to the wet night, let the rain carry it away. Ethan inside swipes channels relaxed in sock feet. I taste winter steel in the air. One day soon, I'll ask him to join me for a shake. Smile, sip, watch. And when he flinches, I'll finally know my next line. No bright labels, no wild claims like burn fat fast, just plain white cylinders, tiny printed codes on the bottom, meaningless to anyone outside the circle. Picked one up. It felt almost empty, but when I shook it gently, I heard the faintest rustle. Powder. Don't sniff it, I told myself. That would be a hell of a way to go. Died investigating her Ethan Harris's sketchy protein alternative, Shizuros. Lovely. I put it back, kept searching. At that point, I didn't feel like a wife anymore. I felt like a detective in a low-budget crime show. Because here's the thing. Once someone betrays you like that, your survival instinct kicks in, and suddenly you're capable of things you never imagined. In the far corner of the drawer, I found his old work tablet, the one he claimed he'd lost months ago. Judging by the battery level, he'd been using it as recently as last night. It unlocked with our wedding date. Of course it did. How romantic, how utterly nauseating. I typed in a few obvious search terms. Supplements, shake, powder, boom, messages, dozens, maybe more, scattered, paranoid, cryptic, like someone who thought they were being watched. Don't overdo it. Once a day, max. If she stops drinking it, warn me. No names, no photos, just a trail of messages from a nameless source with a burner address. My heart was pounding in my chest, in my ears, in my teeth, and then I saw it. The one that stuck, the one I'll never forget. If everything goes to plan, a spot will open up in a couple months. Just keep the shakes going daily. I didn't cry, didn't shake, didn't scream into a towel. My brain switched into clean, cold processing mode like a machine. No panic, just facts. And those facts said one thing loud and clear. I was in danger, and I was done playing nice. I went back to the drawer. Something nasty in my gut told me to check the bottom. It was fake. A double layer. And between those two thin boards of plywood, a slim black notebook, unlabeled, unassuming. Inside, messy handwriting. The rain smells like pennies as I slide the last vial back into its foam slot. My pulse is a soft snare in my ears. One heartbeat for every lie I've swallowed. I smooth the false drawer bottom, fit the notebook on top, and seal the plywood lid like I never found it. My fingers don't shake. They glide. Muscle memory of a woman who once trusted. I shut the nightstand softly. Then, the hinge creaks. A whisper of air, cooler than skin, flutters the page. I freeze. The room tilts. The notebook flips itself over, spine against wood, and there, mirrored, are my own words. Same ink, same tilt of the G, but reversed like looking in a dark window. Line after line in my handwriting, every tremor, every time I whispered, "My legs feel heavy," or "I can't wake up." All dated, all logged. Beside each entry, in Ethan's scrawl, +2 ml antidote 4 a.m. The room tilts harder. Poison on one side, cure on the other. One notebook. One life. One marriage. The hinges groan once. Soft. Like a sigh. I stand cloaked in hallway dusk, fingers feeling for the narrow seam where cabinet meets wall. Heartbeat. Rain tapping the cedar siding reminds me of my own wedding veil. Gentle, yet inescapable. In the living room glow, Ethan laughs at whatever game hushed across the television. His laugh is sweetness with a sting. I taste bile, like when the psychologist told me dehydration could mimic early dementia. Behind the cabinet, the false bottom hides 4 tiny vials. One drops into my palm, glittering in cupboard light. Same drops he shrugs into my smoothies every single morning. Mint green liquid. Chlorophyll, he jokes. I sniff it. Rain scent, coppery. Not mint. Not anything familiar. Flash, I'm in last summer's living room. Applause blooms. The promotion letter quivers. Fresh ink between us. My name, Margaret Carter, team lead. Cheers. Hands reach for high fives. Someone calls it my milestone moment. Ethan stands behind the circle, smile edges paper thin, fingers gripping his glass so tight I swear the rim cracks. I see it only now. The flash for the camera catches his eyes, empty pools reflecting my own reflection as though staging a crime I didn't know was coming. Back in the kitchen, midnight. I cap the vial, slide it into my pocket. Each beat of silence feels like a countdown. 3 footsteps would carry him here. Leaf rustle outside the window like encouragement. Run, Margaret, run. Instead, I choose gravity. Feet planted on the cheap linoleum as though rooting my heart down to earth. I open the freezer door. Frost kisses my lashes. The smoothie bag tilts. Pre-portioned spinach, berries, banana. I remember the way his hand trembled yesterday while he held the blender top, how he waved my concern away. Low blood sugar, hun. Then he rubbed my back in circles, gentle like a spider spinning. My phone vibrates. One word from Laura. Ready? No emoji, no exclamation. Just a quiet lifeline. I tuck the vial inside a padded Daijao Hai Zilian Ti de Rongbiao Dai. I unzip, fit the vial, zip again. Each click feels louder than thunder. Upstairs, I stow the pouch in the suitcase already half-packed for tomorrow's weekend retreat Ethan scheduled, to the mountains. Bargain getaway, he said. Reset, reconnect, only cabin Wi-Fi, only us. I flinch at the irony. Will I find water or depths? The staircase creaks beneath cautious weight. I carry empty teacups to the sink. Suds smell like spring, fake lemon and fear. Through the screen window, the street lamp tosses amber over puddles. Each ripple distorts the reflection into a stranger's face. She looks back at me, Margaret Carter, every practical move now weaponized. In the mirror above the sink, my eyes carry the bruise of sleepless weeks, yet something steely flickers inside. A question slaps the glass. What if he's just clumsy? What if the shakes are love potion of a nervous Ethan Harris? I let the question hang, then turn on the faucet. Cold water hits porcelain like ammunition. I watch the swirl disappear. I will not vanish. I retrieve the notebook. One final check before the clock ticks midnight. Scrawl catching lamplight sideways. Dates, milliliters, side effects logged like a sick prom story. My Ethan Harris writes like a scientist running an experiment. And the guinea pig has learned the lab's secret. I lower the notebook to the suitcase's false lining. Press until it clicks. My heart does the same. Closure. The zipper snicks across certainty. Tomorrow dawn breathes gray over suburb rooftops. I'll sip whatever smoothie he hands me, then pour it straight into the vial I'll carry. Curious chemistry for curious minds, I think, tasting the phrase like a dare. Sunrise tastes like looming gunpowder. I exhale once, slow. Margaret steps into light's first crack, a cautious silhouette armed only with observation. Outside, the wet road glimmers like knife glass. The street is silent. The world waits. I walk steady. One step, another. My shoes smoke tiny clouds from dew. No overreaction. A measurement. A reckoning. A decades-old vow rewritten in the only language betrayal understands. Truth on demand. The hallway smells like old paper and rain on vinyl. The retired pharmacist shuffles inside, trembling before he hands me the sheet. I lean forward, expecting steroids, maybe Adderall cut with laxatives. Instead, his voice cracks. It's HCG, Margaret. Your Ethan Harris hasn't been feeding you protein. He's been dosing you with pregnancy hormone, enough to fake blood work. My heart punches against ribs. Pregnant? Not me. Not now. Not ever. Ethan's lullaby grin this morning, the same one when he brushed hair from my eyes, suddenly twists into something predatory. Planned phantom child, planned fake loss, planned sympathy. Everything gentle curdles into venom. Humidity in the air thickens. The room tilts. Rain streaks the glass like claw marks. I press fingertips to my neck. No bump, but the future he scripted looms. A tearful ultrasound, a stage fall downstairs later, a GoFundMe strangers would spill tears for. My body would be the evidence, my heartbreak the distraction, my silence the payoff. I picture the getaway cabin. No neighbors, no cell signal, just river roar and pine walls. One slip, one sob story, one dim eulogy. I breathe once, slow. The scent is detergent and cold steel. I blink back waves of nausea. Somewhere in the house, a clock ticks like a metronome counting down final bars. I am standing at last on the thinnest knife edge between Tuesday normalcy and life canceled. Yet the clearest notion surfaces. I hold the next page of this horror, and the pen, and the vial. Outside, wet leaves stick to the porch like origami threats. I smooth my skirt, hands steady, eyes new. Game over, for him, it's controlled destruction. I didn't blink. That was it. I was living with a man who knew exactly what he was doing, and that meant he was getting ready for whatever came next. I was out of time. No tears. I didn't have the luxury. My eyes were dry burning. I stood up and started searching the house again. Tom had gone out on errands, and I found it behind the bookshelf in his office, stuffed in a toolbox under a mess of old wires, a beat-up notebook with a coffee stain on the cover. At first glance, it was harmless. Handwriting, I recognized Tom's pages about herbal supplements, heart rate, sleep cycles. Then I flipped further. The handwriting got sharper, darker, angrier. His notes turned clinical. Another week in liver function will show decline. Today's dose should accelerate effect. Increased dosage. She's still clueless. Full control soon. And then a chart with dates in my symptoms. Complains of fatigue. Speech slowing. Interesting. Forgot alarm code. And under the date of his hospital incident. Increased dose by 1.5x. Safe for her. Adaptation on track. My reaction. Nausea. Sweating. Dizziness. Recalculate. At some point, I realized I was gripping the notebook so hard my fingers had gone numb. He'd been studying me, not loving me, not helping me, monitoring me, like I was some test subject in his little basement experiment. But I didn't feel rage. Not right away. Just that same cold, mechanical clarity. The kitchen clock was ticking. Leaves rustled outside like nothing had changed. Everything looked normal, and that was the most disturbing part. He came home late. "Work," he said. "Asked me how I was feeling." I nodded. "Better. Thanks for asking." He placed a glass in front of me. "I made it myself," he said. "No additives, just vitamins." I smiled. "Maybe later, maybe with lunch." He frowned but said nothing. I couldn't afford to argue. Not now. Later, I poured the drink into a sealed jar, labeled it, dated it. Another sample for the evidence pile. I freeze frame on Tom's face in that half-second stare at the retreat, his mask slipping, lips twitching from plastic smile to snake-blank venom. A single bead of sweat rolls down his temple, slow as guilt. Zoom in. The camera catches the glass he's holding, condensation spreading like a lie. The clatter of forks fades, the room hushes. Just one strangled heartbeat of silence. I whisper to camera, "What if right here, right now, he decided my future as a number on a chart?" Cut to black. White text, "What did you blink past in one toast?" The spreadsheet grows line by line. Date, symptom, dose. Each cell is a red brick sealing a cell for me. Rain scents the open window, metallic, almost sour. I save the file as M2023, short for Margaret, short for murder. My fingers tremble, but every keystroke is steady. Click, click, click. I place the jarred shake inside the freezer beside the wedding cake slice we never ate. One glass, one slice, one wedding, one graveyard. That night, the house creaks like old bones. I lie beside Ethan Harris, note the steady rise and fall of his back. Mechanical, rehearsed. Moonlight crawls across the dresser drawers like a spotlight hunting evidence. I replay the retreat in my head on loop. James Hunter, leaning against the bar, a rim of foam on his upper lip. He nodded to Ethan like teammates after a touchdown. I thought they were congratulating me. I look again. Their eyes weren't on me at all. They were on the vacant VP seat that opened last quarter. Elect me. Elect death. God, how loud was the applause? How loud is the poison now? I slip from bed, barefoot on cold hardwood. Each tread creaks louder than a scream. The leaf rustle outside is softer than my heartbeat. I open the hallway drawer, shallow like our vows, palm the small vial I bought from the pharmacy. Magnesium, zinc, harmless, till mixed with his notes and rage. I label it control, placebo. I wait, my hands shake, steady, breath. I'm the scientist now. 5:47 a.m. Ethan's alarm hasn't rung yet. I lean over him. For one moment I almost touch his cheek, soft by razor shadow, the same cheek that once pressed mine during popcorn movie nights. I almost ask, where did we break? But questions are data points. I capture instead. Photo of his pulse at rest, photo of his pupils under penlight, recording synced to cloud. I whisper, how deep did you rehearse this role? He snores, untroubled. I slide the vial in his vitamin kit upside down, a flag of surrender only I can read. I return to the screen, add one final line to the spreadsheet. Column last, timeline to exposure. Row 1 says, Company Gala, 2 weeks. I type in bold, stage curtain. My cursor blinks like a countdown. I hit save. The file shrinks to a tidy kilobyte of future thunder. I wake the next morning to Ethan humming in the kitchen. The rain scent is gone. Sun burns sharp across the counter where he's already measuring, already planning. I sit, chin cupped, watch him stir the shake. Want to split one? I ask. He pauses, spoon frozen midair. Just one hitch. A silent, guilty footnote. He grins too wide. You sure? It's the new blend. I nod, smile soft as snowfall. Positive. His hand trembles slightly as hands me the glass. I pretend to sip. I pretend to trust. I let the silence stretch. The clock ticks. The fridge hums. Ethan's reflection stares at me from the chrome toaster, doubled and warped, like a funhouse mirror of the man I married. I set the glass down, untouched. He notices. His jaw flexes. That single bead of sweat reappears at his temple, mocking its twin from 2 weeks ago. I ask quietly, Ethan, when did you stop being Ethan? The name sits between us, a scalpel. He doesn't answer. The room stills. Cut to black. 3:04 a.m. I tell Alexa to lower the hallway lights until the bulbs glow like dying coals. Somewhere behind the closed bedroom door, Ethan is motionless. I picture the faint throb under his Adam's apple matching the pulse of our Wi-Fi router. Steady, rehearsed. I edge barefoot across hardwood, the cold seeping through my soles until it pools behind my knees. Left hand, latex glove. Right hand, trembling thumb. From the vent, I pull the folder laminated with rain scent. File tabs soft like overhandled paper currency. Inside, photocopies of lab invoices charged to our joint card, highlighted line items, magnesium glycinate, citrulline, trace LSA, a cocktail made to look sporty enough for a man who always brags about PRs on Instagram. I fan the receipts across the counter. Each one is dated, always the first of the month, always bought at the downtown smoothie bar that forgets to log security footage. My vision tunnels until the ink numbers prick like broken glass against my eyelids. I whisper, to the bitter air, to the ghost of the wife I was. Was any bedtime kiss real? The vent ticks, a metallic heartbeat answering for him. Dawn threads pink through the kitchen blinds before he pads in, hoodie sleeve hiked for the camera angle he takes every sunrise. He sets the blender, my brand, my wedding gift, on the marble, humming off-key. Ice cubes clatter like loose teeth. Spoons of chalky white, all measured by a scoop labeled serving size. Love. The sound is a commercial jingle spun backward. Morning, sunshine, he sings, breath already sweet with vanilla protein. I hover by the fridge, sleeve brushing condensation. Split one. My voice sounds borrowed. He smiles. Too much teeth, like a practiced headshot. Slides the cup toward me, tremor disguised as chill. The froth swirls a galaxy of deception. I raise it to my lips, stop a millimeter away. A static kiss with betrayal. On the counter, my burner phone vibrates. Single pulse. The lab just confirmed. 16 micrograms on target, enough to lull ambition, invite mistakes, erode my upward climb records. Neat, reversible suspense that whispers age not sabotage. The microwave clock swaps from 5:47 to 5:48. Tick. I lift the glass above the sink, tilt. The shake glug-glugs into the disposal, leaving only a green ring at the rim like a warning glow stick. Ethan's smile falters first. Then his pupils, dilated under fluorescent, shrink to pinholes. Waste not, huh? He murmurs, reaching to twist off the disposal switch. His forearm flex catches the light. I see Val Kilmer playing Batman back when I believed masks were heroic. I wipe the rim dry with a kitchen towel. One deliberate fold, like flag protocol at half-mast. I slide the towel beside the folder, both now labeled Employee Review. Ink the same trembling blue as every birthday card he signed for my brilliant Maggie. "Real question, Ethan," I say, voice feather-light. "Was it easier to poison my career or your envy?" He doesn't move, only the tick of the quartz clock in our wedding song frame. I watch the swallow working his throat twice. I step back until rain scent reaches me from an open window. 2 sparrows flit along the gutter. In 2 weeks, Gala. I imagine the investor's eyes when I open my presentation. Slide 1, staggering real-time data. Slide 2, receipts. Slide 3, evidence bag and a quiet livestream URL. "Pack a suit," I tell him. "I'll wear black." I let every syllable hang like the final chord of a song we never finished writing. He opens his mouth, maybe apology, maybe explanation. I close the folder, click the magnet latch. The sound is small, final, a throat clearing before curtain call. She thought she knew him. Beneath the everyday smiles and shared coffee, darkness lurked. Margaret Carter stood in a courtroom, silence wrapping around her like a heavy cloak. "She's lost it," Ethan Harris had said, his charm oozing as he faced the jury. "I still love her." But today, the judge revealed something shocking. With cold precision, he read from Ethan's notes, how each calculated dose edged Margaret toward a slow unraveling. Did he really think he could twist the truth forever? Ethan snapped, yelling about how Margaret had taken everything from him. "I built that company while she smiled in meetings." The courtroom gasped as he spiraled. Justice pinned him down as the bailiffs dragged him from the room, rage echoing off the walls. And then it was over. Tom and James. They'd barely made it out alive in their own way, their reputations shattered, buried beneath secrets and lies. They tried to erase Margaret, but instead, they erased themselves. Margaret inhaled deeply, feeling unexpectedly light. Life shifted. The company offered her a lead role in an exciting new project, and voices that once ignored her now hung on her every word. Maybe whispers still trailed her in the halls, but she chose not to look back. Why should she? She had fought her way through the dark, emerging steadier, stronger. The smell of fresh coffee brightened her mornings. Music filled her drives, and laughter from her friends wrapped around her like the warm spring sun. "Did I handle it right?" she mused, typing a message to her sister as she took in the moment. "What would you have done differently?" There's no going back now. The keys to her house lay heavy in her pocket, and the thought of going home felt strange and unwelcome. Instead, she stepped out into the sunshine, moving forward, alive, unyielding, ready for whatever came next. What about you? How would you reclaim control after betrayal? Share your thoughts. Would love to hear them.